But in DC, if you got three max dudes, Porzingis, Brad, and Kuz, like how you missed the playoff. Like it doesn't, none of these things make sense. You know what I'm saying? Unless your priorities aren't in order. And so I would say that's my probably full monologue to that.
It's official. The NBA beef between Kyle Kuzma and Spencer Dinwiddie is on. I have to say, watching Spencer Dinwiddie's interview today, it was so clear that he did not in any way enjoy his time in Washington, D.C. with the Wizards, which, by the way, is absolutely the worst name for a franchise in the National Basketball Association. Only the Minnesota Wild actually rival the Wizards for the worst name in sports. Look, the name Wild is a really good name for a pop radio station that plays like, I don't know, Taylor Swift songs maybe 4 times a day. Not a hockey team in a state where, believe it or not, ice fishing is actually more popular than Major League Baseball. Now, to be totally fair to the Washington Wizards, which isn't something I do a lot of, they actually canned their Wizard logo back in 2015, which, to be honest, is super ironic because it's a wizard. I mean, if it was an actual real wizard, do you really think he or she would allow him or herself to actually get deleted? On today's House of Takes, we are going to cover yet another NBA beef. If you will, it's what's for dinner, or I should say most likely a midnight snack, because I probably won't get this video posted until then. As for Dinwiddie, he went on a full, well thought out, calculated, and I do mean calculated rant, ripping on Kyle Kuzma. To the tape we go.
And, you know, to address,
there it is.
No, I'm just saying, to address the socialite, right? Like, there's a lot of guys in the NBA that really pour their heart and soul into basketball, are willing to do whatever it takes to win. There are a lot of guys that have different things that drive them and motivate them. I think if we look at, you know, him and the way he approaches life, fame, all that stuff, that we could see that, you know, his priorities tend to vary, right? Like, that's why he dressed the way he does. He, you know, approaches basketball the way he does, the comments he makes. And like I said, with the Draymond quote, insecurity is loud. Like, you know that you're there, you know, shooting shots to try to get a contract. You're probably not even a third star really on a good team, because if you were, the Lakers would have kept you, right? Part of the reason you left was to try to make more money. Like, these are all things that are facts. And so at the end of my career, one thing that I want to be known, besides a guy that did whatever it took to win in whatever spot he was at, is a guy that was also very honest. And so, like, my complete response to, you know, Kuz and all that other stuff, to address it directly, I mean, I played with the guy. You know what I mean? We know what the priorities were. And, you know, a lot of times people thought I was talking about Brad or whatever, anything like that. I look at Brad in the same light as like a Dame. I think he's loyal to DC. I think, you know, probably on a championship team, he's probably got to be paired with like a Giannis. He's probably 1B. Which is no shot. I know on a championship team, you know, I'm probably the third guy, kind of like a Drew Holiday with a Chris Middleton and, you know, Giannis or whatever. I'm very secure with who I am in my career. I know on a really good team, I can be a number 2, kind of like we are right here with the Brooklyn Nets. We got Mikal, we got me. We're still a playoff team. We're able to keep the ship right. But in DC, if you got 3 max dudes, Porzingis, Brad, and Kuz, like how you missed the playoff. Like, it doesn't, none of these things make sense. You know what I'm saying? Unless your priorities aren't in order. And so I would say that's my probably full monologue to that.
Now, I don't know about you, but Dinwiddie at times actually comes across like a well-paid lobbyist. Now, seriously, check out these lobbyists here. These are high-paid Washington, D.C. lobbyists. I grabbed it off of a lobbyist website. I don't know about you, but if any of these people actually did show up to my house, I would give them just about anything they wanted. You know, sorry, Fido, but these lobbyists tell me that you'll have an even better home with them in something they call a research triangle in the heart of North Carolina. I mean, just look at these lobbyists and how they're standing. If I were to get like 4 of my friends together, it would probably take us, I don't know, hours and maybe even days to even come up with a picture like that. But enough about the 1%. Hey, let's just roll some more of the Spencer for hire tape.
So here's the thing, right? And obviously I spent some time in DC with Kuz. What's that thing Draymond just said where he said insecurity is loud?
Yeah.
Right? So basically here's what happened, right? We lost to them. I was on the Mavericks. And obviously we have a MVP caliber guy and we're trying to be a championship caliber team, just went to the Western Conference Finals, et cetera, et cetera. So I make a statement about, we need to be better, understanding the culture and how games are kind of played in DC and saying, that's an unacceptable loss in that fashion. He decides to respond because I guess he felt like it was a shot at him. And I wanted to respond. My agent told me to stand down, that we had, bigger fish to fry, things to do, get to the playoffs, et cetera, et cetera. But, now I'm not in that environment. I'm in the playoffs. He's not.
I think it's clear that Spencer won't be going on vacay with Kyle Kuzma anytime soon. As for Kuzma, he fired back in the one place where all NBA beefs eventually end up, and that is, of course, on Twitter. Okay, since I'm so famous at FanDuel TV and at Spencer Dinwiddie, let me give you all some clout. I'm usually unbothered but things on the internet, but I will not allow the delusional guy to continue to talk about my teammates and I. Here's a thread. With all the new AI technology out there, you think we'd be able to do away with grammar and spelling errors on Twitter. So you might be sitting there right now wondering, Deba, why are you not covering any of tonight's play-in basketball games? And simply put, that's because I guarantee none of tonight's play-in basketball games will have over 7.1 million views on a tweet. I mean, I can't imagine anybody on the Oklahoma City Thunder saying anything so controversial that it would get 7.1 million views on Twitter tonight, win or lose. So moving on to the 6 key points that Kyle Kuzma wants you to know about. I love how he has key points. Remember, he is normally not at all bothered in any way by stuff on the internet. Number 1 of 6 key points that Kyle Kuzma wants you to know about. Insecurity is loud. Leave it to Draymond Green to be included in somebody else's beef and to have absolutely nothing to do with this specific beef. Number 2, what in the world have you won in this league? Laugh out loud. You've been bounced around like a basketball, my boy. Number 3, you think KD and Kyrie, and for the spearheading 34 wins before the All-Star break, 11 and 13 after the break for your playoffs. Look, did you really think that they would be better without KD? I almost said Kyrie, but without KD on the team, Kyle. Number 4, second option, more like second point guard. Laugh out loud, my man. I watched you for 2 months, and at the end of your Wizards tenure, averaging going 8, 4, and 4. Sounds good, but glad you're hooping now! Exclamation point. Number 5, and yup, I got a bag coming. Namaste. Stop hating. Laugh out loud. Yes, Kyle Kuzma is going to make a lot of money. He has set a career record for himself in terms of points per game, just under 22 points per game with the Washington Wizards. They wouldn't even been close to the playoffs without Kuzma this year. He goes on to say, enjoy the clicks, go Sixers. After all of that, you have to be asking yourself, seriously, who won this? Who won this NBA beef? Was it Spencer for hire, or was it Kyle Kuzma and his 6 points on Twitter thread? And the correct answer is really simple. It's actually the NBA, because before today's beef broke out, none of you, including me, had any vested interest in watching the Nets get destroyed by the Philadelphia 76ers and Joel Embiid, who should absolutely win this year's NBA MVP award. Hey, listen, thanks so much for tuning into House of Takes. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe yet, please go ahead and subscribe. And, of course, like this video. All right, enough of the groveling. For House of Takes, which we are actually building one subscriber at a time, I'm Dave Dubois, wishing you all a tremendous rest of your sports viewing day.